If you have been training for less than 6 months and you're serious about getting in shape, you should keep watching this video, because in this video I will go over one pitfall that causes some people to fail in their fitness journey. And after revealing it to you, I will share with you a framework to avoid it. Before everything else, I want you to just sit down, relax, because this video is going to be a bit longer than usual. But by the end of it, you will realize not only what is this specific mistake, you will also realize what are the major mistakes one can make in his own fitness journey, and by knowing what these mistakes are, you will be more equipped to avoid them. Let's first talk about what are the two aspects of getting in shape. In the grand scheme of things, there is the law of cause and effect. Let's use video games as an analogy. To level up, you need to get enough XP to level up in a video game. In real life, there is a certain cause that once it is put in reality, basically, once you do all of the actions that get you the effect, you should get in shape. Parts of the cause are like your genetics, you being a human, and some parts of it are you doing certain actions, you eating this food, not that food, you eating this amount of calories, you training for this amount of time with these principles, and for how much time you do it. So basically, in a video game, you have experience points, you level up. In real life, you need to have enough consistency coins in what you want to get the results of. For example, if you want to get in shape, you need to learn what is the cause of getting in shape, and you need to have enough consistency coins in it. So, for example, if you have very low quality knowledge when it comes to getting in shape, you basically don't know how to get in shape, and you implement the wrong stuff because of that, you will get no results. But if you have very high quality knowledge and not a lot of consistency, a pretty decent level of it, you will see pretty good results. Consistency coins have innate quality, and it is measured by the quality of knowledge it is based on. And that's one discrepancy between those who fail and those who succeed with the same amount of consistency. Because if one has no knowledge and the other guy has a lot of knowledge, it is based on science, because science has proved it right, it is a higher quality, then he will see more results just as a result of having the better knowledge when accustoming for consistency. So the two parts of it, of the equation, are consistency and knowledge. The three fundamental principles of a training plan are the progressive overload principle, the specificity principle, and the recovery principle. By applying these three to your training, you should see great results. In the scope of knowledge, just knowing how to implement these principles, specificity training for your goal, in this case hypertrophy, progressive overload, getting stronger throughout the weeks incrementally and pushing yourself to your limits so you actually get stronger, right? And recovery, making sure that after each workout you recover to an extent that allows you to be almost fully recovered the next one. If you follow these three fundamental principles in your training, and maybe there is one or two more that I didn't really talk about right now, if you follow them, you should get in shape. You should implement them consistently. The thing is that that's the pitfall. It's a training plan. Because, specificity is important as fuck. Training close to muscular failure in a way that builds muscle, with the exercises that build the muscle that you want to build, with progressive overload, is the way to build muscle, right? But the training plan, so the pitfall in this case, this pitfall that I want to talk about, is a pitfall in the training plan itself, in the amount of days you do per week. So there are some training plans that by trying to follow, you will fail basically. I want to talk about this meta-analysis. This meta-analysis concluded that more days per week led to more muscle gain. And it is pretty much to be expected, because higher frequency leads to more muscle gain because of higher volume. This was the conclusion in it. So if you're accustomed for volume, you should see very similar results. And let's talk about momentum, because we tend to repeat the actions that we have done until now. For example, let's say a guy who has been training for 400 days consistently without missing one day, versus a guy who has been insanely inconsistent in his training for the last 400 days. If you had to predict which one will go to his workout tomorrow, on which one will you bet? It is pretty obvious, right? The first guy, because he has already built so much proof and momentum. But it's not only that. I want you to think about your own life, because there are probably a few things that you are insanely consistent at, and there are probably a few other things that you're not that consistent at. And I want you to think about the first few times you were doing them. Now, some people might come with the argument that there is genetic variation and we tend to like other things more and we tend to become more consistent in other things in relation to our liking in them, basically the degree to which we like them, and that's one thing, and that's a genetic predisposition. And even though it might be true, and it is probably pretty true, it all boils down to feedback loops and momentum. Because, a genetic predisposition, the main thing it does, it primes you up to become more consistent. What I'm suggesting is that with the right level of momentum, your consistency should become much better. And that is the thing. So before everything else, let's go back here. Because we've addressed that the two aspects of getting in shape are first to do the actions, to actually do them, and the second one is the quality of them, the quality of knowledge that we have, that we implement. Most people know what they need to do. I see it in so many of my videos, and you guys, you should not fucking lie to yourself, and you should not lie to me. You know what you need to do, bro. I get these judgments all of the times in my comments. Bro, you don't know what you're saying, you say bullshit. A pump is not the way to indicate future progress. And I know it, bro. Fuck, it's so fucking obvious. And that's why this video is not about a mistake knowledge-wise. It is about a mistake consistency-wise. Most people with the quick Google search of 10 minutes should be able to find the kind of resources that by following they will get in shape. But the problem is that following these resources, going and training, being disciplined is the harder part. And one massive aspect of discipline is the amount of days per week. Here's the thing, momentum, it is built upon past actions, both short and long term. If you have been training consistently in the last few days, you are way more likely to train consistently today. If you have been training consistently in the last few decades, you are way more likely to train consistently largely today, right in this point in time in general. Basically, there is the short term momentum of the few days or hours, right? The priming effect. For example, if you have been watching David Goggins videos in the last 1 hour, motivational videos, right, in general, then you're way more primed to actually go to your workouts, primed to be disciplined. If you have been training consistently in the last few days and you have gone to your workouts when you needed to go them, you are way more primed to use discipline. But not only that, if you have started to go to your workout, you have decided to go to it today, the workout that you need to go to, you have decided to go to it, you have put the gym clothes on, and you are almost there, you are way more likely to actually drive there or walk to there than if you are not remotely ready to go there. If you don't have your clothes on or anything like that, you are way more primed. So it is both about the last few days. Weeks, months, minutes, and hours. And that's my point. If you embark on a training plan that includes an amount of training days of 6 instead of 3, you make things harder consistency-wise. But not only that, if you don't follow your training plan because of it, you make things even harder discipline-wise because of momentum. You destroy your momentum. It looks like this. Let's say you go once, you build some momentum. Let's say you go twice, even more momentum, right, and so on. But if in one day you skip your workout, you fucking kill the momentum. And then if you skip it again, even less momentum. But on the other side, if you keep going and going and going because your plan allowed you to, you cannot really kill the momentum because it will just compound. Momentum compounds. You get more of it as you go. That's what I feel. I will just convey my feeling right now. Because as we've addressed at the beginning, right, let's go there, I've trained consistently 6 times per week in the last 1 year, or even more, since January last year, right? I've also been running and been extremely active in general in the last year, I've run marathons, I've tracked my diet and everything. It is not sure, but I've been tracking calories for more than a year and a half, consistently every day. The sheer amount of friction that I have to not do these actions is massive. It is an identity crisis level of massive. I just can't do it. I used to be fat. I used to have all of that negative momentum, but because of the fact that I started small, that I started with actually 10 minutes of working out, that I was consistent with it all of the times, I've managed to get in shape, bro. That's how I did it, and that's how I think you should do it too. You should build momentum. You should focus on momentum. You should consistently build it. You should not destroy it. You should allow yourself to build it, and you will get in shape. The pitfall is embarking on a level 100 quest, on a training plan that you cannot sustain, on a diet plan that you cannot sustain, and failing because of that, failing to build momentum because you are just level 1, and because of that, failure is almost guaranteed. You will not be able to consistently build momentum, you will not be able to consistently stick to it, and it is a pitfall because when you don't have momentum, when you go through this uphill battle of trying to use discipline and using discipline and then failing, in some time you will quit. I don't know when. I have friends who did it. They quit. They are not in shape. They are in a very bad shape. Momentum is one of these things that are non-negotiable in my opinion, because it is that important. Look at any jacked guy. Any guy who is consistent in strength is general. It is not that he had like weeks of stopping to train, and if he had them, it's not that he fluctuates, like going to his workout today and then tomorrow he doesn't, and then the next day he doesn't, and then he goes again and then he's jacked by an accident. Some people are like that, right? Fucking steroids. But not even without steroids, right? It is possible, but it is unlikely because momentum is that big of a deal, and that's the thing. That's the mistake. It is when learning. So let's first talk about how one gets in shape. We've addressed it. It starts with learning, increasing the quality of the consistency tokens. Almost everyone does it. Everyone starts by learning and then implementing, because if you don't know what to do, and how to do it, you will just not do it. So we start by learning, what to do and then how to do it, and then here's the pitfall. But before that, and then you go and implement it, you see results, and if you made the pitfall, your consistency will take a hit, and long term, you will fail. The pitfall is embarking on a training plan either due to arrogance or ignorance that you cannot do. That's a mistake. It is, instead of embarking on a 3 times per week training plan that you can sustain for the next decades, is to embark on a training plan of training 6 times per week just because you're arrogant or just because you're ignorant. You don't know that you can do it yet. You haven't asked yourself right questions that I will present to you in a second, and you will fail. Thing is that you should be able to maintain it. You should have discipline as not as an uphill battle, but as a downhill battle, or at the very least, just a battle that you can actually fight, that you can sustain for years and decades. You cannot get in shape if you won't do it for decades. You must have enough consistency points. You should have enough consistency coins. When you go and you pay to the universe with your consistency and quality of implementation, you should have enough of it. Unless you do that, you will not be in shape. You don't actually go. This is just a metaphor. The universe will just yield it to you. You will be in shape when you will deserve it. You cannot skip things. You cannot skip aspects. When you will deserve being in shape, you will be in shape. I got in shape exactly when I deserved it. Of course, genetics play a role. Of course, right? You will get in as good of a shape as you can get. That's one thing that you cannot really control unless genetic engineering comes, and it will come very soon, but you cannot really control your genetics, and that's why you can get in as good of a shape as your genetics allow you to. And it is built upon having a high enough quality currency and a high enough amount of a pitfall. It is about embarking on a training plan that makes discipline an uphill battle. And this training plan is a training plan that doesn't allow you to build enough momentum, that is not in your level, that makes discipline harder and yields. So we have addressed that training volume is more important, right? Training volume is more important. Consistency is more important than everything. Actually following the plan, right? Having enough quantity is more important than everything. We have concluded that we tend to follow what we've done until now. The mistake is following a training plan that you just can't stick to for the following weeks, months. That's just the mistake. The framework to avoid it is this. I've made it 2 hours ago, so it might be flawed a bit, but I think it is pretty good. It is about asking yourself these 4 questions. What do you like the most in a training plan? What allows you to train everything you want to grow? What is this training plan? What gives you the most results? And what you are willing to sacrifice? What you can actually sacrifice, not just about what you are willing to sacrifice. I told you it won't be perfect, this framework, but what you are actually capable of sacrificing. By finding the balance between the 4, which is either this one or this one in most cases, but before that, by finding the balance between the 4, you should find your training plan, the training plan that will allow you to get in shape. Now, let's talk about the upper-lower split and the full-body split. These 2 splits are amazing in my opinion, because they follow the principle of allowing you to train what you want to grow. I don't know if you like them. You should not necessarily like them. It is pretty much the least important part of it, because right, strength plan is about performing exercises, whatever, right? I don't want to bore you. Most people are willing to sacrifice 3 days per week for full body split. That's basically the bare minimum. 2 times results are fine, but if you want to optimize results, then 3 times is pretty much the bare minimum. And they give pretty much the best results in relation to days per week, in relation to time, especially if you use supersets and compound exercises in them. You basically need to find that plan. You need to learn how you make things more efficient, how you should basically find a way to make your training plan, following it, your baseline level of behavior, or in other words, to make the act of using discipline in your training plan easier. The Pitfall is not doing it. That's essentially it. If you want to get a full course about how to get in shape, you can check out the link in the description. And if you enjoyed this video, you can like and subscribe. I will see you tomorrow. Bye.